Hello, Squirrel Tribe. It is Friday, and for me, or the area I live in, it is the last day of school. Summer vacation literally starts tomorrow. Technically, it started a few hours ago for the schools that got out. Now, I had a whole bunch of things I wanted to talk to you about today. I had notes and all kinds of stuff. I brought my iPad down here with me and realized that my child, my 14-year-old, used the pen to draw last night, killed my iPad, and it is completely dead. So we're going to have a whole different conversation. Hopefully you guys don't mind. I wanted to talk to you about a lot of different things. This is going to have to wait till tomorrow, I guess. But the one thing I do want to mention that we don't need notes for at all is, in my opinion, which y'all get a lot here, you know that. My opinion, this summer is going to be very eye-opening for a lot of people who are graduating right now, whether it's graduating high school, whether it's graduating college, even if it's graduating middle school, even if it's graduating elementary school. So many things have changed over the last 2, 3, 4 years that whatever happens next year isn't the same as it would have been 3, 4 years ago. Y'all know what I mean, right? So my daughter just graduated 8th grade. We went to her 8th grade graduation yesterday, and it was great. We had, what is his name? Bowden, used to be, I think, a Clemson football coach. Tommy Bowden was the guest speaker for the graduation for these 8th graders. And he brought up religion a lot. He brought up traditional family values. He brought up a lot of different things that I thought was really, really great. And I was looking around the auditorium, and I could see a lot of kids that were in the seats for graduation, and a lot of parents that kind of made faces at the traditional marriage, right? And the traditional families, because he made the comment of, make sure that as you're getting older, you surround yourself with people who are good for you, who are good to you, and who make you want to be a better person, which makes perfect sense to me. You don't want your children hanging out with, losers, or people are going to drag them down or keep them from ever elevating themselves in life, right? So that made sense. And then he started talking about, the traditional family values and everything else. And it occurred to me that there are a lot of kids out there who have no clue what a traditional family is or what traditional family values are, because how things have changed so much over the last, I want to say, even since I was in school. So the last 20 something years, right? I'm 42. So I've been out of school for, God, I hate doing this math. What is that? 24 years? Oh, y'all. And for everybody older than me, you know exactly how I feel. It's very hard to say. I graduated 24 years ago. It's very hard to say. But a lot of kids these days don't know what a traditional family is, because traditionally it was a husband, a wife, and the kid, and the house, and the white picket fence, and a dog, and the dad worked, and the mom stayed home, and that used to be traditional, right? And then it was, okay, well, you have a dad and a mom, and they both work. That was traditional. Now you have dad, mom, dad who wants to be a mom who wants to be a dad. All different kinds of things. You have adoptive parents, you have siblings taking care of people, you have, grandparents taking care of people, you have kids taking care of themselves because they've lost parents or they've left or whatever else. Traditional families are even I don't want to do that. I don't want to say traditional families are changing, because then it makes it seem like, I guess traditional families are just going away, because changing isn't the right word. Families are changing. What a family looks like is changing, but tradition is still tradition. It's still the way things were, right? So the way things were is changing. The way things were is going away. And we're having new things that are happening. So when Bowden was talking about it, my first thought was, well, technically, we aren't a traditional family, because my husband's black and I'm white. And just, 60 years ago, that was completely illegal. In some countries, it still is. So even we aren't considered a traditional family, even though it's a husband, a wife, a kid. But technically we're in an apartment, but it's still a home, right? And we have a dog. We've got most of the stuff that's considered traditional, except for we don't physically look the traditional part, right? And then, I was thinking about that, he's talking about, I was wondering if our kid thinks of us as a traditional family, or what she views as a traditional family. And so we went, we checked her out of school early, because I mean, today was the last day. Yesterday was graduation day. And if she missed the rest of a Thursday, they weren't doing anything anyway. So we checked her out early and we went and had a celebratory lunch. We went and got sushi because my kid loves sushi, right? And she wanted to try fried ice cream. So we went and had a celebratory lunch and we ordered the food and we had fun, the three of us as a family. And I asked her, I said, hey, what do you consider, like, do most of your friends have a mom and a dad or what? And she's like, I don't know. She goes, I know some of my friends only have a mom, some only have a dad, some have like two of whatever. And I was like, so what do you think is like a traditional family? And she's like, I don't know. She knows that we are considered traditional, but for her age group, they don't see tradition. They don't know what a traditional family is a lot of times. Obviously, we have conversations with her that I think a lot of parents don't have with their kids. But when I say it that way, I think it's because a lot of parents these days aren't traditional, so they're not having traditional conversations with their kids. And I hope that makes sense to people. And there's, in my opinion, y'all, I've always been fully upfront about this. I see nothing wrong with how you want to live your life. I don't understand certain things. I will never understand a man who thinks he's a woman or a woman who thinks, she's a man. That will never make sense to me. To me, I mean, where was it? Peru? I think it was Peru who just like legally decided that transgender was a mental disability. And so, whatever. I still will say from everything that I think you were born gay. I think whatever. And I don't think that if you're gay, it means you shouldn't be a parent or anything like that. So even I can't sit there and say that people are doing things wrong these days if they're not the traditional family. So when the kid and I are talking about it, and I'm asking her, well, what do you want when you get older? And she's like, well, I want kids, and I want to get married and things like that. She goes, but I also want to have like a really good job that I like and that I love and that makes money and whatever else. Whereas some kids will say, who was that kid, the kid from the Kansas City Chiefs who did the commencement speech at the Catholic school where he talked about how a lot of women, when they get older, their greatest accomplishment won't be what job they have, but it'll be the kids they have and, being a homemaker and being a wife and stuff like that. And a lot of people had issue with the way he said it. I have not watched that whole entire speech of his, but I do know, stepping back and hearing the excerpts that people are losing their minds over, it did not sound like he said a woman is only good for bearing children and being a man's wife. He said that a lot of women, their greatest achievement will feel they will feel like it is having kids and, being married or whatever else. And obviously that's not going to be the same for everybody. There's women out there who can't have kids. So therefore you can't say it's her greatest achievement because it's not feasible. There's people out there who will never get married. So of course that won't be their greatest achievement. But I do know that a lot of people traditionally felt that women were designed or supposed to be mothers and wives and not work and things like that. So when my kid and I are talking about it, and I tell her, I said, there's nothing wrong with what you decide to do in life. If you want to be a stay-at-home wife, right? If you want to be a stay-at-home mom, if you want to be a working mom, if you end up being a single mom because something happens between you and your husband, or you decide that, maybe you don't find the person for you and you decide you want to adopt and you're a single mom, there's nothing wrong with that. My child can do whatever she puts her mind to or whatever she wants to do. There will be nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a single mother. There's nothing wrong with being a single father. Of course, it all depends on the situations that lead to it. But most of the time, it's not something that people should, crap on people for just because they're single and it's not like the traditional whatever. But we're having the conversation. And her friends are very eclectic. She has Hispanic friends, Asian friends, black friends, white friends, mixed friends. She's got a little bit of everything, right? And I love that for her. I like the fact that she's got a little bit of everything instead of everybody looking exactly the same, being exactly the same, because then it gets kind of boring and it doesn't help you elevate yourself or learn about new people or new things or how to interact with people if every single person is exactly the same, right? But anyway, I've way tangent or squirreled off here like normal. I was telling her, that high school for her is going to be completely different than high school was for me. And these kids that are getting out of high school now, about to go into college, College may look completely different because of all the shit that's been going on lately on these college campuses with these protests and these kids walking out of their Harvard graduation, these kids walking out of Duke when, I think it was Duke, when Seinfeld gave his speech. These kids that are protesting left and right over things they probably don't even fully understand. They just know that the media is pushing it one way, and so they jump on a bandwagon. And then you have these colleges that are like, okay, well, we're canceling classes, we're going online only, we're canceling the commencement, we're canceling all these things. Then it's like, okay, so the kids that are going into college next year, is it going to look different for them? Are they going to have the same abilities, or are these colleges going to stop the way they've been doing things because of what has happened this year, right? So I was talking to my kid about it, and I was like, college, in all honesty, in my opinion, I didn't go, and I was able to work for a Fortune 250 company and make, really good money for a job that I technically shouldn't have had because I didn't hold a piece of paper that said I went to school for 4 years. But I had the grit and the determination and the knowledge and the skills and the want in order to make it happen. And that's what I told her. You don't need a piece of paper to tell somebody that you're worth anything, right? There are so many jobs out there that, they need tradesmen. Trade schools are absolutely amazing, but for some reason, these kids have it in their head that they have to go to this 4-year college and, live in this dorm and do all this stuff. But because it's tradition. Traditionally, you graduate high school, you go to college. Traditionally, you graduate high school, you go to college, and you're in significant debt for the rest of your life. You go graduate high school, go to college, graduate college, and have no actual working skill to go with whatever degree you have. So you're going out into this workforce like the lamb to slaughter, I think that's how it goes. And so we were talking about it, and I was telling her how, kids her age going into high school, it's going to be completely different for them. It's going to be completely different by the time they get to college or whatever happens after high school. Kids that are graduating high school now, it's going to be completely different for them in college, and who knows what happens in 4 years. You have AI taking over everything. You have immigrants getting a lot of jobs. You have some student debts being forgiven by the Biden administration, others not. I think he just forgave ones for teachers and firefighters and maybe paramedics. I can't remember what the third one was because my iPad's dead because my kid killed it. But we have this conversation all the time about who you are, who you want to be, what's changing in the world, and you have to keep an eye on it. You have to focus on down the road, not just right now, because down the road is what's going to affect you more than just right now. So for her, I'm like, hey, listen, think about the things that you love to do, but also think about, is that going to be feasible in 4 years, in 8 years? If you like to hand draw stuff, is that still feasible in 4 years, 8 years, when everything these days is digital, when everything is done by a computer or some system? Is a hand drawn anything going to do anything? If you know that you like to teach, are you still going to be able to be a teacher in 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, or is everything going to be AI generated, right? Because now kids can go on the computer and have Chat GPT write their papers for them. You want to be a secretary, receptionist, whatever. Those jobs are going to be gone because, again, Chat GPT can answer a phone and reply back like it's a person. Like, all these things are changing. And I feel bad for all these kids that are graduating, whether they are moving from elementary to middle, because it's going to be completely different than what they've been used to, from middle to high school, completely different, high school to college, completely different. And these kids leaving college thinking that, cool, I did this for 4 years, I've got this degree now to hit the ground running. Well, what you started for 4 years ago, is it still worth anything today? Is there any job for you to actually get into? Are you still going to be paying $200,000, $300,000 of debt your entire life and never get to use your degree? Because that happens to a lot of people. So that's it. It was just one of those conversations that I wanted to have with my daughter. And I gave myself hiccups there weirdly. But I think it's a good conversation to have here with you guys too, because I know a lot of y'all are my age or older and may not have kids, but maybe you have grandkids or nieces and nephews or friends who have kids. And I feel bad for the generations younger than me, half my age and younger, because things are changing quicker and more drastically for them than I felt like it did for me in my age group, right? Just the way AI is just evolving, the electric everything, and the lack of, honestly, the lack of morals in a lot of people these days is pretty evident if you ever jump on TikTok or Instagram or anything like that. But it's definitely a different world now for the kids that are growing up than it was for me and for y'all, I'm sure. And it's just always good to touch base with the younger people in your life and just kind of figure out how they see things and where they want to go in life and what they want to be and do in life. Because with the way everything is, you know, constantly like changing, like ebb and flow of everything, it's good to always have that open dialogue so that nothing really gets lost. You know what I mean? I don't know if any of this made sense. It was just, my brain just went off. So there's that. Squirrel Tribe, listen, I love y'all. My eye itches like crazy now too. Ow. Y'all ever have that where your eye itches and you go to scratch it, but it makes it feel worse? It might be an eyelash. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Listen, I love y'all immensely. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your Friday, my dudes. It is currently 91 degrees outside. I'm looking at my Jeep. It is 91 degrees outside. It is hot as balls in here, and it's just going to continue to get worse because summer's just now kicking in. So it's going to be a hot one, y'all. Anyway, I love you immensely. I know I already said it. Whatever, I'll say it again. And I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.